Um, Hello, check. Great. I cannot hear myself. That's good. Hello. Okay, I think is working. Yeah, it seems like it's working. And then let's start up screen sharing. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Let's see. So today, firstly, welcome to session 3. We are 2 sessions in. The first 2 sessions, we spent um building the um building the like a better document retrieval tooling within Khoj. Document by document retrieval, we mean your personal knowledge base that you sync with Khoj. We gave Khoj some tools, some better tools for it to be able to explore your knowledge base a bit more in a bit more controlled fashion. Unlike before, where it had only one tool, now we built 3 more tools: the list file, the view file, and then a grep file tool. And previously we had the semantic search tool, which was the only tool available to it. That gave it less control on exploring your knowledge base because like the results aren't very deterministic. It doesn't know all the files that you have in your knowledge base, and the list file, view file allows it to traverse it in a bit more controlled fashion. So we built that in the first. We built the grep tool in the first session. In the second session, we kind of tuned how the agent uses and found opportunities to improve what the agent sees, the research mode agent sees when it's going through each iteration. And so we listed out, we fixed some issues, and we listed out other areas for improvement, and we tested out with a test knowledge base how Khoj is performing on a bunch of questions, which made it kind of look through a wider range of like through the knowledge base more extensively to be able to answer these other kind of questions, which Khoj couldn't do before. So all the questions that we ran through in the previous session were questions that Khoj couldn't technically answer before, but now was able to answer in a way that we cannot trust it. Because modern LLMs will try and answer even if they aren't quite certain of the responses. So this time with the tooling, it's at least more coherent. And hopefully we can get a better document retrieval experience with Khoj in research mode. That's what we were doing in the last 2 sessions. This session, I was seeing if we can get to this part. I think we are ready to try it out at least. We'll try and build out the kind of voice chat into Khoj. So Khoj already, for context, has some amount of has APIs for converting speech to text. There's one API endpoint for that. There is, of course, the chat API endpoint, which allows you to send a text response, a text query, and get a text response. That's the main API endpoint Khoj exposes, apart from like lots of others, but that's the main one. And then we have another API endpoint already existing in the main Khoj, in Khoj Cloud, which allows you to convert text back to speech. So we have speech to text, and then the chat, which takes text in, text out, and then the text out can be converted back to speech. What we're going to do for this session, or try to do for the session, is a smaller objective, but hopefully we can implement that in the approximately 1 hour that we'll spend on this thing. But the idea is to string together these 3 existing APIs and make give the user the experience of having a voice chat, which means just like they ask a voice question, whatever happens on the back is happening on the back, but at the end they get a voice response, right? And so the preparation for that, the API endpoints already existed, so there wasn't any more preparation required for that bit. But I was working on adding WebSocket support. So for folks who don't know, by the normal on the web, normal requests work over HTTP. You can have GET requests, POST requests, whatever you have, but those are unidirectional requests. So the user sends a query in, or whatever, like the app sends a query in, and then you can only get a response back. You can't keep sending like messages in the middle. You can't have bidirectional communication. You can have only unidirectional communication with a normal HTTP request. WebSockets allow you to do bidirectional communication, so you can keep sending messages in, keep getting messages out. They are better for, like, their setup is more involved. So the setup time takes a little bit longer than a normal simple HTTP request. But then once you have the setup, the message passing is faster because you sidestep the overhead of the HTTP request being sent every time. So for more real-time communication, WebSockets are the way to go. Generally, that's what you'd see in any kind of, like, even when we're like streaming right now, like streaming the video, the audio, stuff like that, it'll usually be done over WebSockets. Wait, like two-way streaming. So no, maybe this one's not done over WebSocket because, again, only I am saying stuff and there's no like people responding bit. But in a meeting, like a video meeting, or even on this like chat that we'll have on the side, those things may have WebSocket-based communications. So, and any kind of real-time like gaming status updates, stuff like that, those things may be, again, done via WebSockets. So what I did was like build the WebSocket equivalent of the chat API endpoint. So that's what you're seeing here. We have the chat WS stands for WebSocket endpoint. It's not doing much here. It's reusing the existing chat API logic, which is much more extensive. Where is that? Here in the process chat request, and that's being reused by, the process chat request passes event generator, and that's the main function. But it's also again used by the existing post /API/chat endpoint. It's again calling the event generator here, right? So they both end up reusing most of the logic, the post /API/chat endpoint and the WebSocket chat endpoint. And that's a little bit of like setup and tear down differences between the two. But like basically I was trying to get like I was trying to not duplicate the more involved and extensive logic, which is within event generator, around which tools and like a bunch of other things, streaming, stuff like that. And so we have that now. And the reason that's important is because whether we get to that part right now or not is not sure, but at least when you want to have an interactive voice mode for Khoj or anything, you'd want real-time streaming and bidirectional communication. So what you'd imagine this to be eventually would be just like you are talking to Khoj, it's responding, whether it's in research mode or default mode, it's responding to you, it's doing its work, and it's telling you what it's doing. And you can redirect what research it does in the middle of the research, or you could just kind of ask follow-up questions, but all of this happening in like voice to voice for the user. So that's the kind of end goal. Of course, there's a bunch of steps you can do to improve these things and have them be more real-time-ish. But for now, we're just going to like use some of the existing assets that we have to try and implement at least the basic voice mode. So you ask a voice question and it gives the voice response is the whole thing that we're trying to really try and implement. And then we can later on get into like just talking about the optimization. But if things are going great, I mean, we can do the optimizations themselves, right? So that's the plan for today. Now, this is the like this is the Git history. You can see. Wait, let me just make this bigger. For folks who don't have context, this is Emacs and Magit within Emacs, which is what I use for Git versioning. But basically, these are the Git commits, the previous Git commits, and wait, right? This commit isn't very relevant to our work. I'll pull it out into master. It's a bug fix, which should be useful, hopefully. But this one, yeah, these three messages, these three commits are right. These three commits are the ones where in this one, we create the WebSocket chat API endpoint, as it says, to use bidirectional communication. In this other one, we shift the web app from using the post/API/chat endpoint to using the WebSocket. The WebSocket instead, somewhere here, there will be right here. So here we have the WebSocket URL. And then there's a bunch of like generic stuff around like pulling in context, how we kind of on the Khoj end stream responses with event delimiters to mark different portions of the response being streamed back to the user. So those would be like train of thoughts, references that are being passed to the user, and then just straight up the final response. All those three things, and there may be a few more, which I may not remember right now, but all these kind of like different kinds of events, the boundaries are marked with these like custom event, whatever, like custom delimiters. And so that logic is being implemented there. This is where we actually ended up doing the socket implementation on the server side. Where is this? Right, on the API chat endpoint. And then here we've updated. So that's, and this is another thing, well, the commit message may be used for folks to look at, but basically what this helps with, apart from the voice chat, is I had started, I want to say like a few weeks ago, building out interruptibility within Khoj. Interruptibility, first, what is interruptibility? Like what I mean by interruptibility here is basically like while Khoj is going through and doing its like longer job in our scenario for now, that's research mode. When it's doing that work, a bunch of times you want to kind of like steer it away from certain trajectories or like certain paths it's going down. You want to be like, hey, you don't have to worry about that part, or you can give it some information that you forgot to give it before. For those things, you want to send a message while Khoj is in the middle of its research run, and you want Khoj to not like lose all its previous research it's done, but continue with this new updated information that you provide. It's not as acute. The issue is not as acute right now. It is there, but it's not as acute. But it'll get more and more acute as we move towards longer running jobs. Imagine a half an hour long or an hour long or even multi-hour long jobs that Khoj is working on. You don't want it to like just forget all the information and then like start from scratch because you want to give it some information. And so you want it to like interrupt its flow and add some other context to it while it's processing. And the WebSocket, so I'd implemented that thing in a specific way, which because the normal post chat API doesn't allow for bidirectional communication, we can only kind of like abort the existing query, and then send a new message. And then what would happen is if when the new message comes, first Code checks is there any partial reasoning trajectories or research trajectories that are saved to DB, loads that up, and then adds a query and continues. While that may sound fine, the problem is that it becomes first it's slower because one has to abort, and then the other query, which first the other query has to wait for the DB, like the communications having through the DB, and so it becomes like slower the interaction and doesn't feel that great. So that's what I mentioned somewhere here. Allow for faster, more interactive interruptions. And then the other is be a more robust interrupt mechanism that will work in multi-worker setups. So this mechanism that I implemented, I didn't think this through, but when it got pushed to Code Cloud, at that point I realized it's not going to work for multi-worker setups. So in Code Cloud in production, we don't have a single we don't even have a single container, but even within the container, there's like a Gunicon worker where like basically there's a number of different instances of code running, and any of them can pick up the query, the like next query you send. And so at that point, the communication kind of like breaks down a lot of times, and code just assumes that the previous research run didn't exist and continues with that context having been lost. So those were two issues. The WebSocket thing, again, because we're not shutting down an existing request and starting a new one, we're just continuing on the same request and just sending this new user query. This commit tries to use that for the interrupt flows. Again, this is preliminary work. I just did it in the last few hours. Like at 5 o'clock or whatever, like 4:50. And so like, again, a bunch of testing needs to be done. Most of the work that we're doing in these like live streams, they need to, like the live stream is like a small portion, a bunch of testing needs to go through. It needs to go through and clean up and like kind of robustness checks before we can actually merge those into like the main code master and like at least before release. So before it goes to Code Cloud into production. So again, these things are built out and they work at least for like the basic stuff, which is great. But like what we're saying was like, yes, the WebSocket allows for this interruptible communication while Khoj is doing longer jobs. And right now we'll try and use this for the voice chat mode where you ask a voice question and then you get a voice response. We'll not be using any of the, if folks know, we'll not be using like right now at least the live streaming APIs that LLMs or LLM providers give. We could move to that in like the eventual implementation, but it'll have to be like we'll have to see how well that works and if it satisfies our requirements, because we have a bunch of like tool calls that we do in the middle. It's not just like a LLM to user chat with no kind of tool use at all. We like Khoj is not that. And while those things provide tool use capabilities, support may be varying. We want to support at least some amount of some variety of AI API providers. And so I'll have to look into like how well this thing is supported, live chat with tool call, to decide if we go in that direction or if we just stick with like this. Also, like latencies are important. So how annoying is the experience of like asking a question, transcribing that, passing it to the chat API, getting a response, and then like kind of converting it into speech, like how does the interaction look like? So this is the simplest one, and so we'll try and build that out, see how that feels, and then decide what we need to improve, right? Okay, so that's enough context. Let's go to VS Code now, and then ask who is this? Right. So in the first session, we used Cline, this guy. They have a VS Code extension. I think they may have other extensions or a CLI thing, but these are some CLI, some agentic coding assistant. So Cline is one of them. It allows you to switch between different model providers. Where is this? Yeah, so somewhere here you can kind of like set up the API keys and things like that. I used it for, like, here you can see some portion of the, I think a lot of the WebSocket chat API implementation. So we could use Cline. I also talked to Copilot Chat and then Claude Code. We'll right now. So like the first session, we used Cline. This time we'll try and use Claude Code, right? Just to give folks a feel of how that one works as well. Okay. And then basically ask it to do the work and then go through the iteration loop of like figuring out if it works, if it doesn't work, why it's not working, things like that, and then like tell the model or just go fix it ourselves. Okay, so all the context I've given to you, some of it we'll give to this guy, which is, let's go. So what were the things? One, we want to build, let's start with the main goal. We want to build this exciting new feature to add voice chat to to do that, you'll need to use the slash the speech to text API endpoint at what is it? Slash speech. Wait, is there a slash speech? Yeah, okay. Slash API slash chat slash speech. The chat WebSocket endpoint at API slash chat slash WS, I think. And then and the text to speech API endpoint at slash APS. Actually, some API thing transcribe, great. And this slash transcribe. Actually, we should tell it the files in API.py. And then here in at API chat.py. Okay, so yeah, whoops. What is this? That's fine. And then right, so that's one thing. And then we want to tell it where on the web app. Right, on the web app we have on the web app. Wait, I'll just show folks. This is how the web app looks. This OTC thing is just from our last session. My name was OTC, but basically you can see here, this is the voice, like mic button. We ideally want want to either like have like long press or tap to start talking and then tap to end talking, and maybe add. So what we'll do is like we said, what we'll add like a voice mode for now. So I'm not worrying too much about the UX right now, but I add a voice mode toggle, and then maybe you can do a long press or tap to start recording and tap to like finish it. We aren't getting into like auto turn detection right now. Again, if you have time, we can do it, but I doubt that we'll have time right now to do that in this 1 hour. But what we want to tell it is this component is called the chat input area. So on the web app, you need to add update the web app to enable voice mode and allowing us to tap to or whatever, like press to record stop. Uh, Let me just, I haven't given enough context for that. Add voice chat to code. This should allow users to have a voice to voice chat experience on the web app. Okay. And just chat input area. I should add just before sure and then but update the web app to enable voice mode in this. But I'm choosing this Vim mode. They have like a Vim mode in Claude Code where I can use Vim key bindings, but it's not very extensive. So like it doesn't support all the Vim or like quite a lot of the Vim stuff. So I don't know what my hand is doing, but I think sometimes it gets into trying to do stuff which Claude Code doesn't support. Update the web app to enable voice mode. This should allow the user. This should allow the user to. Wait, do we even want like clicking the voice, like the mic button at all? I wonder if you like toggle the voice mode on. Yeah, then it should just like start to like record, and then once. Oh wait, yeah. So then there's no way to like stop. Yeah. So in the ideal scenario, maybe that's what you do. But for now, we don't want to do that because we want the user to be able to like stop the recording, not try and auto detect the turn end. It's called turn detection. So I don't want to get into like I don't want to get into auto turn detection for now. This should allow the user to press Press the mic button to start recording and start, stop, start, stop. Audio recording once is done, use the existing send message mechanism to send query and get response back from the chat WebSocket API endpoint. Once response is got use call the text to speech API endpoint to start the voice response. Okay, so you told it a bunch of things. Unclear how much of it will be able to do, but let's go and see. One note, there is this think deeply thing, which when it's like this keyword thing, I think you can do a few variants of it, but it's not very versatile. At least I haven't figured out all the mechanisms by which you can trigger it. But when you put in think deeply, at least the model goes into reasoning mode, I think. And so, yeah, so here you see this thinking bit. Basically, the model starts to use like engage its deep thought mode or reasoning mode or whatever you have. These are Claude. This is either like Claude 4 Sonnet or Claude 3.7 Sonnet. I think mostly Claude 4 Sonnet, but both of them support reasoning. So you can first see the reasoning, but second it thinks like better about that. Okay, what is this? Speaker high, speaker X. Sure. I need to add voice mode state and text. Sure. Add this. Voice mode displaying voice, current audio, current audio. So these are state variables. Again, these are updates on the web app. Folks who aren't very familiar with web tech, we are using React. It has a bunch of state management stuff with React hooks and things. And Claude Code is going around trying to add these state variables, which it then uses here. Okay, so play text as voice. Oh, it's trying to implement this on its own. Should we let it? No, we should just tell it like use the existing. There is some existing functions to that convert text to speech on the web app by calling the slash API slash whatever speech chat slash speech. Okay. This one's transcribed. Oh yeah, slash speech. Endpoint use that instead of writing the function yourself, writing the function yourself. And then we have to keep, unfortunately, remembering to tell it to think deeply, otherwise it stops thinking deeply, which is don't want it to not think deeply for these. At least this involved a question. Okay, so yes, it's searching for this existing thing. It's found this file, I guess. Oh, no, that's fine. So yeah, see, they also have this like in user grep. Well, it's gone, but user grep tool. It's telling it when the file size input is big enough. And that's very similar to what we built in the first session, where if folks remember, like if the file is big enough, we tell it like, hey, like there's more stuff. Use the line range stuff. Line range is to limit your like where you're looking in the file. Okay, I don't know this much, but it's saying these tasks in Claude Code seem like um, again like an agent, like an iterative reasoner is how we, at least in like generically we called it in Code, but it's just doing it's like it has a task and like Claude Code or whatever um like an agent has been given a task and it's going to loop it through using a bunch of tools to complete the task. And like the UI is just showing us the top level objective that's been given to it, and then the tools that the agent is doing. It's with Cloud Code, it seems like it gets when it's given a task, it does like much more work than is potentially required. Like this right now, I don't think it's that involved to find the existing TTS functionality. I think it's already found it, but kind of keeps going at it for a while. But yeah. But the good thing about like so like the difference between some of these folks, like Claude Code is great at like doing a little bit more outside just writing the code and running basic lint checks. Like it can run tests, it can look up all the Git commits, it can like, start server. Like it has the terminal available to it, and it seems to like to use it as well, which is like I like that part. Because I can tell it like, hey, look through like the past Git commits, like, hey, I did it, implemented it in this form, run, like I implement something like this, look at that, look at the Git history or like the Git, like the work tree, and you can tell it like to run some tests or run specific commands, and then you kind of go do all that. Cline, I think supports that, but I haven't figured out how to kind of encourage it to use that. And then Copilot Chat has an agent mode, but it's not just looking at what it's saying, but we're gonna put state variables. Oh, after all that, like I don't even know that to find. It's saying here, but then it's going out anyway. Here it's doing voice intercept, voice intercept. Okay, whatever. That's fine. And then yeah, what I was saying was yeah, the Copilot chat doesn't they're trying to I feel like improve it, but it's not quite there yet. Oh, it still went ahead and like okay, let it just build this thing out for now. Let's see if it gets done. So it kind of still went ahead and like wanted to write the text speech bit in the chat input area. I'm not sure why it didn't. Like maybe it says it's in its thinking, but it didn't tell us why it didn't. I just reuse the text to speech bit instead of kind of re-implementing it. We told it earlier to not re-implement it. Great. Yeah, so the agent mode in Copilot Chat is I haven't been able to like it doesn't seem that flexible yet. But hopefully it'll get there. Oh, okay. So doing here set voice mode says voice is playing voice and speaker F sharp and then voice mode speaker has totally less. Speaker high or top? If playing voice, then you can like you have a mic to turn it off. That's fine. Like a voice cross thingy. That's what speaker X should be mostly. Speaker high again is like just like start talking. For voice mode, I don't know what talk left will do. Let me just go and do things for now. Now we look at what the UX updates done and then decide what it needs to further. Um, sort of this text as voice mode, and then so instead of function, it's checking for voice mode instead, and then I think that's its own change in a previous iteration. Which it's allowed us to like do the transcription bit. Started that, and then it's like calling at least, so like what we can look at right now. It's calling the text to speech when voice mode is enabled. And now it's trying to wire up the actual like calling the chat function. Hopefully it doesn't try and like, implement that again as well. Oh yeah, so it's find chat input area usage. It's gonna be our task. Or it wants to use like let me see the chat. Okay, that's fine, I guess, because chat message is maybe I should have given it a reference to chat message because that has that like mic thing, the speaker thing with the text to speech functionality. I don't know that it found it, and well, it did say it found something, and then didn't actually use that directly. Maybe I didn't want to deal with the whole pulling the function out into a common place and then reusing it across chat message and chat input area, which assuming it was thinking this much, it's good enough for a start. Yeah, it needs to look at chat page. That's good. And let's also look at the Git. Let's look at why that's good. Okay, here we want to see what it's done till now. Oh, really? It's just updated chat input area all this while? Okay, great. So text to speech adapted from chat message component. We saw this bit, it did the text as voice. It's fine. Done some UX updates for like the voice mode, like turning on voice mode, and then it's added this. But it's not added like using the because chat input already has that. So it's just if you're using this again thing. Right, that makes sense. It's reusing the like speech to text bit that was already in chat input area. It gets in the text to speech bit here. And now it's wondering, do you want to make this edit? What is the edit? Voice response text. This is a thing that is passing down to chat input area, the voice response text. And it's passing it down from chat body data, which is fine. Yeah, so here it'll pass it into chat input area. This is fine. And then when the message is complete, it triggers the set voice response text to the raw response. That's fine. I think raw response is the right thing to do. And then so yes, like you saw the TypeScript error thing, like that. This is one of those things which even Cline and Claude Code get. Like they get these they're like these diagnostic checks which run and then tell it in the middle, which is kind of neat. Right. This on message, this WebSocket interactor is getting triggered on set voice response text. Hmm. So interesting that it like added and then decided not to. It's not defined. Oh, what is this? I never. So, oh, it's using an MCP. So it's trying to. Yes. I don't know whether that works. Oh, it did, I think. Yeah. Let me create a separate user for the amount of the messages are completed and handles voice responses there. Oh, what's the problem with the set voice response situation? Set voice response text, it's here. In chat body data, that's fine. Oh, and it's done this update in chat. Okay, it maybe doesn't see. And then where is this being passed? That gets passed down to chat input area and is being used in here or no? Okay, let me clean this first and then go back to the page. Where is it? Here is it. So yeah, and then who's calling chat query data chat. If that's code, we can just pass it down. I'll just tell it or we can set it. Let's see. Wait, it's being used here, which is yeah, fine. So we want to just this guy and then in okay, we'll add it to the props later, but in chat we can add here and then set voice response text seems to be used here, that's fine. And then there'll be an error around here which needs voice response text, that's it. So then we pass voice response text down to voice response text string, that's fine. Start voice response text, that's fine. Then where is chat body data? Chat body data. We pass down the response text. Okay, now the diagnostic errors should be gone, and we should be able to use set voice response text here, and then again, let me just tell it. We've now defined set voice response text in sat function and pass it down to chat body data. Oh, chat input area, right? So this is just this like state variable property, state variable in chat. The chat component is getting passed down to chat body data, which is then passing it out to chat input area, which then will whatever do something, think deeply and complete the feature, the voice chat feature. We just let it continue and finish. Well, it's been a while. We're almost at an hour. I didn't realize. And this guy's just still going at it. I don't know how long we've been working with this, but hopefully it should end and then we can start the testing. Can't expect this to be this long a sequence of just Claude Code writing the code. What do they want to do now? No, it's not. Okay, at least it thinks it's done the work. And then we can go here and see what it's done. It's okay. And then also just verify it. Okay, so this is built and it's only on the web app. So wait, first let's look at what it's done. Actually, let's look at the UX update. Okay, great. There's a voice mode toggle here. I see, and then if I click it, okay. So basically, like, oh, toggle left is just this like this gray button, and then this turns it into voice mode. That's good. And then do I need to just click this now? Okay, let's try. What what is the time in Bali? Uh, it didn't auto trigger the send, but let's just send and see whether it. Don't think it'll do that, but it's not. Well, let's just see. Yeah, so it's not done that. So, uh, okay, so the voice mode toggle works. Um, is visible, doesn't work visible, and we can record the audio, but we can't, it doesn't trigger and call the send message from the chat input to start the or or um, trigger the text to speech when I send the message from the home page. Actually, let's the home page. I'm wondering if I should let's do this app page. Yeah, I'm just told it like, hey, like doesn't work, and then call like three places where I can like start from the home page, which is at web app page.tsx, and then the chat page, which is at web app chat.tsx. And we have not told it to think deeply with this. All right. Okay, so we're going to do this, which is relatively simple. Hmm. Why do you want to do this web app page? Oh, it's on web app page. Okay, that's a home page. It's trying to send an empty version. So this is the part where it like hopefully going to trigger the um trigger the like after transcription, which we already saw happen, which anyway happens. But in voice mode, it'll trigger the sending message bit, hopefully. some styling update. Be careful now about that bit. Just want the functionality to start. Doing some cleanup as well. Auto send countdown. Why is it? When the user hits stop in voice mode, the message should automatically get sent immediately. So let's doing some styling updates on like help stuff. Um, okay, we are going to, I guess, go over the 1 hour mark. Go over the 1 hour mark, but it's fine. Just want this to work, which is much more interesting. Hopefully, it doesn't take much longer, and we can at least get like the. Okay. We can get the like the basic functionality working. That would be fun. So we'll spend a little bit more time doing that, trying to do that. Okay, let's see what it's. Click microphone starts recording visual and click stop immediately transcribe. Click stop just transcribe. For editing, yeah, that's fine. Voice mode and chat mode can be the automatically play text to speech. That's what console logging. I don't know why this is useful. Anyway, where are we here? And then this thing is still building. So we have like a watch on this, the web app, like a yarn watch. So it auto kind of automatically pre-builds every time files on the web app are updated. These warnings and like the prettier errors are things. I mean, well, the prettier error should be taken care of at some point. But for now, we worry about that. Oh, okay. Can I type? Oh, I can type this right. Anyways, it's fine. And now let's just try and. What is the time in Delhi? Okay, so it automatically send it. Oh, what? Oh, it responded. Okay, so it responded as well. Wait, what happened here? So like it ended up sending this message. So like the flows happened. I don't know whether people heard. Let me try again. What is the time in Nairobi right now? Okay, yeah. So, man, I'm missing what's happening. But at some place it's overwriting what we did. So I don't know whether folks can hear this. Didn't think that bit through. Maybe I'll remove my headphones and make folks hear it at the end. But right now what's happening, it's at least it's responding with voice. It's sending the message automatically after I hit stop. But the message that's being sent is this recording voice message thingy. And I want to just verify again because for some reason I'm missing every time what's happening specifically. But all right, when I hit stop, at least my new thing is here. But then when it gets sent, I think it switches it out. Let's just see again. What is the time in Mexico City right now? Okay, so it didn't even send it sent the recording voice message. Okay, let's do this. Okay, what was that? This is unrelated. Okay. Great that I can shut it down with this. But anyway, okay. The now the um when we stop recording, the message is automatically sent from or message is automatically sent from the chat the, what the chat page, and when once the response comes back, the voice text to speech gets triggered automatically as well in voice mode, but the message that is sent is instead of the actual transcribed actual correctly transcribed voice message that appears in the chat input area after hitting stop. Deeply. Hopefully this is some like state or timing issue. And I think like this guy should be able to figure that bit out. At which point we should have the flow, like the rest of the flow working. Okay, what is it doing? Yeah, state timing issue, which is what I was saying when we call that message transcript. Okay. Um, um, but yeah, like if we can send the message, the transcribe message that's already successfully transcribed, then hopefully we don't need to. Yeah, this is better. It's not doing these. It's like passing the message directly through the functions rather than using these state variables. Okay, I don't need to say that, but I mean, I don't know. I need this function thing. These global things are useful when it's anyway, when it's passing in some state, like using these like normal brackets with like what's it called, like a callback or some such. So, so I'm not particularly sure why doing the cleanup or doing these other modifications. And this one's just someone wants to clean up, but it's fine. All we are hoping for is that the actual message, the actual transcribed message gets sent, and then um, like we can finish that loop. The rest of it should hopefully continue to work. At which point we should be good. Let's reload the page and then turn on voice mode. What is the time in London right now? We're just giving it simpler question just to be testing the flow rather than. So this part is annoying. This can be improved, but like like you saw the streaming way in which the like while we were speaking, it was transcribing while we were speaking, and that's what's happening here. Oh, it's printed, yeah. What's happening? Um, I'm just keeping it like like on the side, just so I can see the VSCode server logs as well on the back. What are we doing? And let's just try once more. What is the time in Jakarta right now? Oh, it went right now. Okay, hopefully this completes. Not do like I'll take off my headphones just to be. Oh, why is it taking so long? Okay. Yes. Okay, great. So it's responding to me again. Yeah, I don't think folks can hear it. What the hell? Okay. Uh, this is not part of like the part that we want to optimize right now, but like the text to speech guy is a little strange, and maybe we should give it a different, um, like a plain text, to speak out. But anyway, like I'll make you folks hear this. It does some goes through some pure voice transformations in the middle when it's trying to, I think, read these like references and like weirder text, like degree Celsius and stuff. Okay. I think my thing is on speaker and it's hello check. I'm guessing folks can hear. Yeah, I feel like we folks can hear. I'll have to see the recording because I don't know, but I'll just go and do a run with asking it another question. What is the time in Uganda right now? And if it gives a big response, you like get to see the strange voice shifts. Yeah, so you get to see the strange voice shifts if you can hear it.
Uganda observes Eastern Africa Time, EAT,
Yeah,
which is UTC plus 3 hours /5 HTTPS www World Time Buddy. Com Uganda Kampala Chotte PS the time now. Com Uganda. It does not observe daylight saving time. Pure HTTPS www World Time Buddy. Com Uganda Kampala.
It's changing in pronunciation and its voice a bit.
As of today, Thursday, June 19th, 2025, in UTC. The time in Uganda is also on Thursday, June 19th, 2025, and is 3 hours ahead of the current UTC time. This seat, this year, www.
What is the time in London right now? Okay, anyway, so this thing seems like it can do what we want. Let's just have this like second turn work out. Like multi-tone is working fine. Seems to be doing well.
London is currently observing British summertime, BST, to HTTPS www.
Okay, great. Right, so I think we're at the end of the thing. What we implemented is using some existing stuff that we had, which was I'm just kind of recapping what we did. Using existing API endpoints that we already have in Khoj, one of them is the one which converts speech to text, then the chat API endpoint, and then the text to speech endpoint. We're using 3 existing endpoints and then making Khoj kind of loop through that in voice mode when you turn on voice mode. The one new thing that we added earlier today before the live coding session was we added this like WebSocket bidirectional communication thing. It helps with, as I mentioned earlier, with research mode, like interrupting research mode runs and redirecting them in some direction that you prefer, or something you prefer. And then the other thing it helps with is this voice mode interaction, where it allows us to send messages and get messages from the code server, between the code server and the client, in a single like request stream. And so that's the one update we've done to the chat API. It's another API endpoint which is reusing most of the chat API endpoint logic, so you see the rest of the stuff working like the chat API. But apart from that update of chat API, what we did in this live stream today is then mostly used Claude Code and spent like 25 minutes doing a bunch of stuff and eventually got to the results that we needed. But build the kind of this voice mode toggle here, which then allows you to, when you hit the microphone button, record your thing, and when you hit the stop, it automatically sends a message, and when the message comes back, it automatically plays it back. Now you see this like microphone button here. What you normally do is, without the voice mode, you'd hit the microphone button, say the thing, hit send, and once the message completes, then you hit microphone, right? What we're building towards, this is just the first step, what we're building towards is just once you're in voice mode, you can say a bit. Once then we add auto tone detection, which we don't have right now. So that's why you have to hit the stop button. Once you're in voice mode, maybe we just remove even the microphone button. Maybe it's just different looking UX completely. But irrespective, the core functionality would start from where we are at right now, where once you've finished saying your bit, it sends it to Khoj. Then the messages come back from Khoj, like the train of thoughts, and we plan to, like we should speak those out as well. So maybe not all of it, but like portions of it. Like, hey, like I'm now, whatever it's doing here. Well, this is not even research mode. It'd be interesting to do it in research mode, but anyway, like we can worry about that later. But like, I'm looking up stuff online and will respond. Whatever. Like I'm looking stuff online and searching the internet for current time. Now I'm generating well-informed response. Maybe it doesn't need to say this bit. So basically, like some portions of train of thought, and in research mode that's not extensive. In this default mode, it's not particularly relevant to speak the train of thought. But in research mode runs where you can imagine it being, like as we build towards longer running jobs, it's not going to respond for like 20-30 minutes if we wait for the final response. So we want Khoj to be telling us in research mode how it already shows in train of thought. Its thoughts telling us that over voice, so that then we can kind of react to it. So like the additional components to build would look like we'd add auto tone detection. So that looks like these things already exist. Folks use this. The most normal thing people use for like end tone detection. Let me just find that. Which is Cilero or something. Yeah, Cilero VAD or something. Yeah, so Cilero VAD is the most common one that folks use for, again, voice activity detection is like the full form of VAD, VAD. The folks use that for detecting when you stop speaking. It can run on client side. Potentially we use that. We could also use some like API to tell us that. But irrespective, what you expect to happen is turn on voice mode, start saying things. When you stop saying things, the message gets sent to Khoj. So that's when you start voice mode. And then assuming we're in a research run, which is where this, like I'm more interested in that part. When it's in research run and you're running, imagine a long running job, an hour long job, when it's thinking things through, Khoj speaks out what it's thinking. And then because as I mentioned earlier, we built that interrupt bit in the WebSocket. What we could do is when we start speaking again, the transcription starts again, and then again, when the turn end happens, we send that message to Khoj using the same flow that we built right now. And when we use the same like chat flow that we built right now, the interrupt message will get put in to the research run history of Khoj and then shift the kind of research trajectory to whatever you said. So assume you're like, hey, Arno, like, look up, like, whatever, like you asked it to look up like create a report for about the lions that exist in, I don't know, in the Asian subcontinent, right? And then you're like, hey, don't look up, and it's doing this thing, and it's looking up, I don't know, lions in, maybe it's looking up lions in India or something, and you're like, hey, I don't care about those. So you can just kind of say that in the middle, and it'll change the direction of if it was looking at lions in India to just like maybe lions in China. Again, this is just like a fully made up example, but the idea being like you can keep interacting with it on voice mode while Khoj is going about doing long running jobs. And this loop that we've just built right now, we can use that with a little bit more, with a little few more things added to it, mostly that the voice, like the end tone detection and like you starting speaking detection, like those two parts, like when you start speaking, when you stop speaking, those two components we want to build. And then there is that optimization around like speed. So that would be the other component is like, is this feeling like the current pipeline is using more like real timey chat LLM techniques or like capabilities, but without that, is this good enough for at least long running jobs or not? And so like right now we won't go into doing that. We just will be like, I think what auto turn detection bits and then see how that feels for long running jobs. And then if it's working out, that's great. If it's not, then we can like optimize further, right? And so that is great. We have done an hour and a half of this thing and got it to, well, there was 20 minutes of like me talking about all the stuff we've done before and why we are doing this and what we've done till now for the specific feature. Spend 20 minutes or something, maybe half an hour, having Claude go through the building this thing. And now I think I spent like 10 minutes talking about the final results that we're hoping for with 10, 15 minutes of testing. This was great. Hope you folks enjoyed it. Some side notes, we may, again, the next one will hopefully mostly be at the same time. So 6:30 p.m. PST tomorrow. But on the weekend, we try and do it earlier. So I'm not the earliest riser, but we'll try and do on the weekend at 9 or 10 a.m. PST. That'll allow folks from other time zones, from Europe and India and China and stuff, to be able to tune in a little better. And PST folks can, of course, like also tune in. Cool. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's also fun for me to build it live, and glad that we got it working. See you folks tomorrow.